this thing that's going on, rioting and all that, I'm only going to spend a moment on. Folks are asking, but you know, probably not the right person. If you're angry, you're probably not interested in what I have to say about the rioting and that sort of thing. But what I'm going to say anyway is, you know, there's stuff going on. And it's interesting to me because a lot of people are just looking for a reason to be angry. And they go nuts when you give them a reason to go nuts. They just want to go nuts. Now, when you've given them a reason, they justify it. Now, of course, the Miracles calls that trying to justify our anger, which anger is never justified. Now, it doesn't mean it's not right to speak up and want to share what you're feeling. When you do it in any form of violence, then you're just off. You're just out of line. And part of what I'm sharing here has nothing to do with, you know, what's right or wrong about somebody getting injured, somebody getting killed, and none of that's good. They should riot every time in a peaceful. They should have peaceful demonstrations every time a child is abused. But they're not talking about that because it's not as hip or as whatever that some people want to make certain topics, kind of the fads that are going on at any given time. All people, their lives, their health, their everything matters, and children matter. And, you know, so there's a lot of things that we could be demonstrating for, and we don't, because that's just, it's humans, man. They want to do what they want to do. But I will say this, it's not an accident that this stuff is happening. So in short, what I'm leading to is, once upon a time, Europe was starting to thrive after Dark Ages, just starting to thrive. But they were being godless, essentially. Even though there was a Christian movement, that was all hypocritical. So all of a sudden, mystics in Europe started having several people, even just commoners as they called them, started having these visions that something bad was coming to the country, the world, that region. They called it, because it was like a karma. Some of them had specific visions of, we're going to have a dark wave come to the country because of our godlessness. And it's going to last 3 days, which it wasn't. It was 300 years. And they were called the Vikings. So when the Vikings came, they were also referred to, as other cultures were, the scourge of God. There was a karmic repercussion that was coming with these people. And so the rioting, it's just another version of that. It's not wrong, it's a message. The reason people are acting up is because they're fed up. Okay? Which is not just a merger of FedEx and UPS. Fed up. Anyway. So how do we handle this sort of thing? Well, try this. What did Jesus say about it? He did actually say something about it. There's a guy named Barabbas that said, we're tired of the racism of the Romans, and we're tired of the abuse by the Romans. So let's riot and let's kill some of them. Let's take over and cause damage and vandalism. And Jesus said, no, it won't work. So Barabbas and some of his supporters, they thought this Jesus guy's just a hypocrite because he claims to be for the people, but he won't support rioting. I'm going to side with him on that one. Whether anybody else agrees, I really don't care, man. I'm old enough to not care, about people's opinions and all that sort of thing. It's great when you reach this age, you start either it's part of just aging and losing your mind, or you just are maturing and not caring. That's maybe not a mind memory loss. Maybe that's actually just reaching a point of spiritual maturity, because I really don't care in that sense. So a lot of people wouldn't agree if I don't agree with the support, the violence, and the right. I don't care. I just know the truth of God. And using metaphors or examples of, like Jesus saying, it's through love and truth and forgiveness that you make changes. It doesn't mean peaceful demonstrations aren't valuable. Martin Luther King proved that. You can, hey, let's demonstrate something. I think that's beautiful. To demonstrate means to demonstrate, to be an example, right? To demonstrate something. It doesn't mean going nuts and rioting. So all I'm saying is that the inner changes have to happen. And lastly, I'm going to say, besides the inner change, Britain could not get rid of the Vikings. Now, the Vikings didn't take everything, but they kept pillaging. They just kept showing up. Because the Britons, besides the interchanges, they realized we have to work together against these kinds of things. So America and the states of America and any other countries, you want to deal with global viruses, you got to work together. The reason you're having riots and violence and viruses is it's a message. The reason politics have failed you to cure any of this, science has failed you, medical science, but science, and religion has failed to cure this. Why? Because they're all insane. Why would you ask for cures and results from an asylum? All three of them are off, and they're being proven to be off. Nothing is important nor real without God. And none of them have God. It doesn't mean no individuals within them. I'm just talking about those three institutions. You and I have to get our act together here first and then work together second. Then you'll see different results in the world. Is that going to happen anytime soon? I personally don't think so. Because the world is too used to and trying to find excuses to rule out calling God into your things, into your life. Even school systems rule out, God. You're not allowed to mention God. They have Christmas shows now in schools, elementary schools, where they're not allowed to have any Savior. We're just going to gather around the shepherds. Oh, come, all of us less faithful. It's like, what are you singing to? I mean, you can't bring God into it. So this is not an accident. The world of science, intellect, religion, and politics, they're getting God out of our lives. So the world is having happen what you might expect. Because being without God brings a world that'll feel like there's no God. And God is love. So you're going to have a world without love. All right? Hopefully that covers some of it. And you guys don't have to keep emailing or Facebooking and telling me that I need to talk about this because I just did. Okay? And that's pretty much all I have to say about it. Live without God and you're going to have these sorts of things happen. And to me, this is about living without God. This is a repeat of the Viking scenario and other times when nations were attacked because they needed to be humbled. So we're all just needing to learn this. And to me, it's without God, this is what you're going to get. So there you have it.